Hello friend, and welcome to Science for Sleep. Tonight, we're beginning with something very familiar. A cup. Warm water. A gentle scent rising slowly into the air. When most people hear the word chamomile, they don't picture a plant growing outdoors. They picture a mug. A pale golden tea, usually served in the evening, often associated with quiet moments, rest, or winding down after a long day. For many people, chamomile is one of the first herbal teas they ever try. It's offered when someone feels unsettled. It's given before bedtime. It's remembered as something mild, comforting, and safe. In some homes, it's almost a signal that the day is ending. But there are a few things about that familiar cup that often go unnoticed. First, chamomile tea isn't actually tea at all. It doesn't come from tea leaves, and it isn't made from the tea plant. Instead, it's an herbal infusion, created by steeping the dried flowers of a small daisy-like plant in hot water. What we casually call tea, in this case, is really a flower drink. A cup filled with plant blossoms rather than leaves. Second, the pale golden color of chamomile tea hides something unexpected. The same dried flowers that create this light, gentle infusion can produce a deep blue oil when they are distilled. Even though the tea looks soft and honey-colored, the flower itself contains compounds that transform dramatically under different processes. That contrast, a quiet-looking drink coming from a chemically complex plant, is one of the reasons chamomile has remained interesting to humans for so long. And third, chamomile has its name for a reason. The word chamomile comes from ancient terms meaning ground apple, because fresh chamomile flowers naturally carry a faint, fruity scent. When crushed or brewed, many people notice a subtle sweetness that doesn't quite taste like fruit, but somehow smells like it. That gentle apple-like aroma is one of the first clues that chamomile is doing more than simply coloring hot water. Together, these small details point to something important. The cup of chamomile tea that feels so ordinary is actually the end result of a long chain of plant biology, chemistry, cultivation, and human habit. If you enjoy these quiet journeys, you're welcome to subscribe. And if it feels natural, to leave a comment sharing where you're listening from tonight. It helps others find their way to this calm corner of the world, one sleepy traveler at a time. The quiet continues here, just as it is. At its simplest, chamomile tea is made by pouring hot water over dried flower heads and waiting. Steam rises. The water changes color. The scent becomes noticeable. Nothing dramatic happens, and that's part of its appeal. Chamomile doesn't announce itself loudly. It doesn't demand attention. It settles in quietly. The flavor is mild and balanced. Chamomile isn't sharp or acidic. It doesn't carry the bitterness that many leaf-based teas develop if steeped too long. Instead, it stays soft, even when brewed strongly. This gentleness is one of the reasons chamomile became so closely tied to evening routines. It doesn't stimulate, and it doesn't overwhelm the senses. Over time, that repeated experience matters. When a person drinks chamomile night after night, the body begins to associate its aroma, warmth, and taste with slowing down. The act of preparing the tea becomes part of the signal. Heating water, choosing a cup, waiting as the flowers steep. These small steps form a ritual, and rituals are powerful because they teach the body what comes next. In this way, chamomile tea is doing two things at once. On one level, it's delivering plant compounds extracted gently into water. On another, it's shaping expectation, memory, and behavior. The calming reputation of chamomile isn't only about what's in the cup. It's also about how the cup fits into daily life. Tonight, we'll begin with that familiar experience and slowly widen our focus. We'll look at what's actually in chamomile tea, how the brewing process works, and why this particular plant became so closely associated with rest. Then, step by step, we'll move outward, from the cup to the flower, to the chemistry inside it, and finally to the living plant, growing in fields and gardens around the world. For now, though, we start where most people start, with a warm cup held between the hands, and a flower quietly dissolving into water. When we talk about chamomile tea, we're really talking about a process rather than a product. Nothing is manufactured in the cup. Nothing is added. The drink is created entirely through contact between hot water and dried plant material. And what ends up in the mug depends on what the water is able to carry with it. Chamomile tea is not made from leaves. It isn't rolled, oxidized, or fermented the way black or green teas are. Instead, it begins with the flower heads of the chamomile plant. These flowers are harvested, dried, and then steeped whole or slightly broken apart. When hot water is poured over them, the water begins to dissolve and suspend certain compounds from the plant tissue. This makes chamomile tea an herbal infusion, sometimes called a tisanes. The distinction matters because it helps explain why chamomile behaves the way it does in the body. There is no caffeine present, because caffeine is a compound produced by the tea plant, not by chamomile. There are no tannins in the same concentration found in leaf teas, which is why chamomile does not become sharply bitter when steeped for longer periods. The primary things water extracts from chamomile flowers fall into a few broad categories. First are water-soluble flavonoids and related plant compounds. These are naturally occurring molecules that plants produce for protection and signaling. In chamomile, some of these flavonoids are associated with the tea's calming reputation. They dissolve slowly into hot water and remain suspended in the liquid, even though they are present in relatively small amounts. Second are trace amounts of aromatic compounds. Chamomile flowers contain essential oils, but essential oils are not very soluble in water. This means that chamomile tea does not contain the same concentration of volatile oils that would be found in a tincture or a distilled essential oil. Instead, the tea captures just enough of these aromatic molecules to produce scent and subtle flavor. This is one reason chamomile tea smells more pronounced than it tastes. As the hot water steams, volatile compounds are released into the air above the cup. The nose detects them before the tongue ever does. The experience of chamomile tea is therefore partly airborne. Smell plays a significant role, often before the first sip is taken. The third element in chamomile tea is warmth itself. While not a chemical compound, temperature is a critical part of the experience. Warm liquids tend to relax smooth muscle in the digestive tract and increase blood flow near the surface of the body. This physical response is not unique to chamomile, but chamomile's mild flavor allows the warmth to be experienced without competing sensory input. It's also worth noting what doesn't end up in the cup. Chamomile flowers contain compounds that only appear after heat-intensive processes like steam distillation. These compounds, including those responsible for the deep blue color of chamomile essential oil, are not present in meaningful amounts in tea. They require a level of heat and pressure far beyond simple steeping. This means that chamomile tea represents a very gentle extraction. It is incomplete by design. Water selects for certain molecules and leaves others behind. Rather than concentrating the plant's chemistry, the tea softens it. The form of chamomile tea also influences what ends up in the cup. Tea bags typically contain finely cut or powdered flowers, which increases surface area and speeds extraction. Loose whole flowers extract more slowly, often producing a lighter but more aromatic infusion. Fresh chamomile flowers, when used, behave differently still, offering brighter scent but shorter shelf life. Steeping time plays a role, but within limits. Because chamomile lacks harsh tannins, extending steep time generally deepens aroma and body without producing bitterness. This forgiving nature is part of chamomile's appeal. The tea doesn't demand precision. It accommodates distraction. Another subtle factor is whether the cup is covered while steeping. When chamomile is steeped uncovered, some of its most delicate aromatic compounds escape into the surrounding air. Covering the cup traps these vapors, allowing them to settle back into the liquid or remain available to the nose when the cup is lifted. This small detail can change the experience noticeably, even if the chemical content of the tea remains modest. Taken together, chamomile tea is best understood as a low-intensity interface between plant chemistry and human perception. It is not a concentrated dose of anything. It is a diluted, sensory-forward preparation that relies as much on smell, warmth, and habit as it does on the molecules dissolved in water. This gentle nature is exactly why chamomile tea became a nighttime drink. It doesn't override the body. It doesn't stimulate. It doesn't force change. Instead, it creates conditions that allow the body to do what it already knows how to do when given the space. Next, we'll look more closely at why chamomile, out of all possible flowering plants, became so strongly associated with evening routines and rest, and how repeated use transformed a simple infusion into a widely recognized signal for slowing down. Chamomile did not become a nighttime tea because it was rare, powerful, or dramatic. It became a nighttime tea because it fit easily into the hours when the body naturally begins to slow down. Across many cultures, evening drinks tend to share a few traits. They are warm rather than cold. They are mild rather than sharp. They do not stimulate the nervous system. Chamomile aligns with all of these qualities in a way that feels almost unintentional, as though it arrived already suited to the role. One of the most important reasons chamomile settled into evening routines is its complete absence of caffeine. This might seem obvious now, but for much of history, most brewed beverages contain some form of stimulation. Teas made from leaves, coffees, cacao drinks, and even some herbal preparations could subtly increase alertness. Chamomile offered something different. It provided flavor and warmth without adding energy. That made it compatible with rest in a way few other drinks were. Flavor played a role as well. Chamomile's taste is gentle, lightly floral, and faintly sweet. It does not demand attention. It doesn't linger sharply on the tongue, and it doesn't build intensity as it cools. Even when brewed strongly, chamomile tends to remain soft. This makes it easy to drink slowly, without effort, and without the kind of sensory engagement that keeps the mind active. This softness also makes chamomile forgiving. There is no precise brewing window that must be followed to avoid unpleasant results. A cup forgotten on the counter does not become harsh. A tea bag left in too long does not ruin the drink. This lack of consequence matters more than it seems. Evening routines are often carried out while the mind is tired. Chamomile accommodates that tiredness instead of punishing it. Warmth is another quiet factor. Warm liquids naturally encourage relaxation through physical means. They can reduce mild muscle tension, increase circulation near the skin, and promote a feeling of internal comfort. Chamomile does not compete with this effect. Because its flavor is subtle, the warmth remains the dominant sensation. The body registers comfort before the mind registers taste. Over time, this repeated pairing of warmth and calm creates an association. The body learns gradually and without instruction that the sensations linked to chamomile often precede rest. This is not chemistry alone. It is learning. The nervous system is highly responsive to patterns, especially those repeated daily. The act of making chamomile tea reinforces this pattern. Evening preparation tends to be slower than daytime tasks. Water is heated, flowers are steeped, steam rises, there is waiting. These small pauses interrupt momentum. They slow breathing, slow movement, and narrow focus. Chamomile tea is rarely prepared in haste. The process itself becomes part of the signal. Cultural reinforcement strengthened this association further. Chamomile was often given in moments when calm was needed, before sleep, during illness, or after emotional distress. Children encountered it early, often framed as something safe and soothing. Elders relied on it when sleep became lighter or digestion more sensitive. These shared experiences gave chamomile a social meaning beyond its physical effects. Because chamomile was widely available and easy to grow, it became part of everyday life rather than special occasions. It was not reserved for ceremonies or celebrations. It was present in ordinary evenings. That familiarity matters. Things that appear nightly become signals. The brain pays attention to what happens consistently. Another reason chamomile fits nighttime use is that it does not mask discomfort with intensity. Strong flavors can distract or stimulate. Chamomile does neither. If the body is unsettled, the tea does not overwhelm that sensation. Instead, it gently accompanies it. This makes chamomile suitable for people who are sensitive to taste or smell when tired. Digestive comfort also played a role in its nighttime reputation. Many people notice that chamomile tea feels easy on the stomach. Whether this is due to mild antispasmodic effects, warmth, or simple hydration, the result is the same. When digestion feels calm, the body is less likely to send alert signals to the brain. Sleep becomes more accessible. Importantly, chamomile's effects are not immediate or forceful. It does not create a sudden shift. It does not induce drowsiness in the way a sedative does. Instead, it supports the body's existing trajectory toward rest. This makes it particularly compatible with evening use, when the circadian rhythm is already moving in that direction. Over generations, these qualities reinforced each other. A mild drink became associated with rest. That association increased its use at night. Repeated nighttime use strengthened the signal. Eventually, chamomile stopped being just a beverage and became a cue. Today, when someone reaches for chamomile in the evening, they are participating in that accumulated pattern. The body recognizes the warmth. The nose recognizes the scent. The mind recognizes the context. None of these elements need to be strong to be effective. They only need to be consistent. Chamomile did not earn its place as a nighttime tea through intensity. It earned it through compatibility with the body, with routine, and with the quiet hours when very little is required except gentleness and time. Once the cup is set down and the steam begins to thin, it becomes easier to ask a quieter question. If chamomile tea feels so familiar, so ordinary, what exactly is it made from? Behind the warm liquid is a plant that looks nothing like the drink it produces. Chamomile begins as a small flowering plant, low to the ground, with thin stems and delicate white petals arranged around a raised yellow center. It belongs to the same broad family as daisies and sunflowers, a group known for composite flowers that are actually many tiny florets gathered into a single, recognizable shape. What appears to be one flower is, in reality, a carefully organized cluster. This structure matters. Chamomile does not produce large leaves filled with strong flavors or defensive bitterness. Instead, it concentrates much of its chemical activity in its flowers. The blossom is where scent is strongest, where volatile oils are stored, and where many of the plant's most biologically active compounds are found. When chamomile is harvested for tea, it is the flower heads that are collected, not the stems or leaves. Seen growing outdoors, chamomile looks unassuming. It doesn't tower over surrounding plants. It doesn't produce bold colors or thick foliage. Its stems are slender and flexible, and its flowers sway easily in light wind. This physical lightness is part of why chamomile has been easy to cultivate for centuries. It doesn't require heavy feeding, deep soil, or complex care. It grows readily in open fields, garden beds, and even along paths where the soil has been disturbed. When chamomile flowers are picked, they carry a scent that feels out of proportion to their size. Crushed gently between the fingers, the flowers release a sweet, apple-like aroma that explains why people notice them in the first place. This fragrance is not incidental. It comes from a collection of aromatic compounds produced by the plant as part of its normal metabolism. These compounds help attract pollinators and protect the flower from environmental stress, but they also happen to be pleasant to humans. Drying the flowers changes their appearance, but preserves much of their chemistry. Fresh chamomile blossoms are soft and flexible, with petals that easily bruise. Once dried, they become papery and lightweight, their white petals curling slightly inward as moisture leaves the tissue. The yellow centers darken subtly, concentrating both color and scent. At this stage, the plant becomes shelf-stable. What was once a living structure responding to sunlight and water becomes a preserved botanical material. But it does not become inert. The dried flowers still contain the same internal compounds, held in place until water is added again. This is where the connection between plant and tea becomes clear. Chamomile tea is not a transformation in the way bread or wine is transformed. Nothing new is created. The tea is simply the plant rehydrated under controlled conditions. Hot water reopens pathways inside the dried flower, allowing certain molecules to leave the plant tissue and enter the liquid. Understanding chamomile as a plant also helps explain why its effects are subtle. Chamomile did not evolve to affect human sleep or digestion. Its chemistry developed in response to insects, microbes, sunlight, and soil. The compounds humans respond to are byproducts of those interactions. When steeped in water, they appear in diluted form, softened by the limits of extraction. There is also variation from plant to plant. Chamomile grown in different soils, climates, or conditions can vary slightly in scent, strength, and composition. Flowers harvested earlier or later in the bloom cycle may produce slightly different teas. These differences are usually small, but they contribute to the sense that chamomile tea is never exactly the same cup twice. Seeing chamomile as a plant also shifts attention away from expectation. The flower does not promise rest. It does not contain instructions for sleep. It simply carries its own biology into the cup. How the body responds depends on context, timing, routine, and the state of the person drinking it. In the field, chamomile is part of a larger system. It grows among grasses and other flowering plants. It attracts insects. It responds to weather. Its presence changes the small environment around it, just as the environment shapes the plant in return. The tea is only one moment in that much longer cycle. By tracing chamomile back to its source, the cup becomes easier to understand. The warmth, the aroma, and the gentleness of the tea are not accidents. They are expressions of a plant that evolved to be light, aromatic, and adaptable. When that plant meets hot water, those qualities become available in a form humans have learned to recognize and repeat. What begins as a familiar drink turns out to be a quiet collaboration between a flowering plant and a daily ritual. One that starts in the soil, passes through the flower, and ends briefly in the hands. The word chamomile feels simple, but it doesn't point to just one plant. Instead, it acts more like a shared name, gathered around a group of similar flowers that humans learned to recognize long before they learned to classify them. Historically, people named plants by experience rather than taxonomy. They noticed scent, taste, and effect. If two plants looked alike and behaved alike, they were often treated as the same thing. Chamomile is one of those names that grew from observation first and precision later. The name itself comes from ancient roots meaning ground apple. This description wasn't poetic. Fresh chamomile flowers genuinely carry a light, fruity aroma, especially when crushed. People noticed this scent immediately, long before the plant was brewed or dried. The smell became the identifier, and the name followed. Over time, that name spread across regions and languages, attaching itself to multiple daisy-like plants with similar appearances. Some of these plants truly belong to the chamomile lineage. Others only resembled it closely enough to borrow the name. This is why, even today, the word chamomile can refer to more than one species. In everyday use, when people say chamomile, they are usually referring to what is sometimes called true chamomile. This includes a small group of closely related plants that share not only appearance, but also chemistry and aroma. These are the plants traditionally harvested for tea and medicinal use. Alongside true chamomile, there are look-alike plants often called mayweeds. They share the same white petals and yellow centers, and they grow in similar environments. To an untrained eye, they can appear almost identical. But there is an important difference. Many mayweeds lack the characteristic apple-like scent. Some have a sharp or unpleasant odor instead. Smell becomes the simplest test. This reliance on scent reflects how chamomile was understood long before modern botany. People didn't separate plants by genetic markers. They separated them by how they behaved when touched, crushed, or brewed. A pleasant aroma meant usefulness. An unpleasant one usually meant avoidance. As botanical science developed, these distinctions became more precise. Plants that had once shared a common name were separated into different genera. Chamomile became more clearly defined, while similar-looking species were reassigned. But the older naming habits never fully disappeared. The common word remained, carrying centuries of loose meaning with it. This explains why labels can still be confusing. A tea sold as chamomile may contain flowers from different species, depending on region, tradition, or availability. In most cases, this difference is subtle. The overall experience remains familiar. The scent is recognizable. The flavor stays gentle. Understanding this flexibility helps explain why chamomile feels more like a category than a strict definition. It's a plant people came to know through repeated sensory contact. The name reflects relationship rather than classification. There is also a reason chamomile was remembered so clearly. Many flowering plants are visually similar, but few combine appearance, scent, and mild effect in such a consistent way. Chamomile made itself noticeable without being overwhelming. That balance made it easy to remember and easy to return to. For the human mind, naming is a way of organizing comfort. When a name reliably leads to a familiar outcome, it becomes trusted. Chamomile became one of those trusted names. It pointed toward warmth, mildness, and ease, even if the exact plant behind the name varied slightly. So when we say chamomile, we are not just naming a species. We are naming a pattern, a certain kind of flower, a certain kind of scent, a certain kind of experience that humans learn to recognize and repeat. That loose, lived meaning is part of why chamomile has endured. It was never locked into a single definition. It adapted alongside the people who used it, carrying its name forward as long as it continued to feel the same in the cup and in the body. When people talk about chamomile, they are often speaking as though it is a single plant. In practice, most chamomile traditions trace back to two closely related but distinct forms. These two chamomiles share a name, a general appearance, and a long history with humans, yet they behave differently in the field, in the cup, and in cultivation. German chamomile is the variety most commonly used for tea. It is an annual plant, meaning it completes its entire life cycle in a single growing season. From seed, it grows quickly, sending up thin, branching stems topped with many small flower heads. These flowers are harvested repeatedly over the course of weeks, sometimes months, as new blooms continue to appear. Because of this growth pattern, German chamomile is well suited to large-scale harvesting. It produces abundant flowers in a relatively short time, and those flowers contain the chemical profile most people associate with classic chamomile tea. The aroma is bright, lightly sweet, and distinctly apple-like, The flavor is gentle, slightly floral, and clean. Roman chamomile, by contrast, is a perennial. Rather than growing tall, it spreads low along the ground, forming a dense mat of fine, feathery leaves. Its flowers are fewer and slightly larger relative to the plant size. Instead of focusing energy on rapid flowering, Roman chamomile invests in persistence. It survives winter, regrows each year, and slowly expands its footprint. The scent of Roman chamomile is often described as softer and more rounded. Some people notice a slightly grassy or herbal note beneath the familiar sweetness. While Roman chamomile can be used for tea, it is more often valued for its aroma. It has a long history of use in scented preparations, ground cover gardens, and gentle applications where fragrance matters more than volume. Chemically, both plants share many compounds, but the emphasis differs. German chamomile tends to contain higher levels of certain compounds that have been studied for their calming and soothing associations. Roman chamomile contains a different balance of aromatic esters, which contribute to its smoother scent and its popularity in essential oil production. These differences influence how each plant is used. German chamomile's abundance and chemical profile made it the preferred choice for tea. It could be grown, harvested, dried, and brewed efficiently. Roman chamomile's low growth and perennial nature made it better suited for living landscapes, where it could be walked on lightly, release scent underfoot, and return year after year. Both survived in cultivation because they solved different problems. German chamomile met the need for a reliable, renewable source of flowers for infusions. Roman chamomile met the need for a fragrant, long-lived plant that integrated easily into gardens and daily life. There is also a practical reason both remained relevant. Chamomile traditions developed before modern supply chains. People grew what worked best in their climate and soil. In some regions, annual chamomile thrived. In others, a hardy perennial was more dependable. Over time, these local choices solidified into parallel traditions rather than competing ones. For the human mind, these two chamomiles reinforced the same core experience through different paths. Both smelled familiar, both felt gentle, both fit into routines of care and comfort. Even when the plant form changed, the outcome remained recognizable. This overlap allowed the name chamomile to persist without confusion for centuries. The cup still tasted right. The scent still signaled calm. Whether the flowers came from a tall, fast-growing annual or a low, spreading perennial mattered less than the consistency of experience. Understanding the difference between German and Roman chamomile helps clarify why chamomile is not a single fixed thing. It is a family of solutions shaped by environment, need, and habit. Both plants earn their place, not by being identical, but by reliably offering the same quiet qualities humans learn to trust. In the end, German and Roman chamomile represent two expressions of the same idea. One grows quickly and gives generously. The other stays close to the ground and endures. Both lead, in their own way, back to the same familiar result: a gentle plant, recognized by scent and softness, finding its way into daily life. Chamomile is harvested for its flowers for a simple reason. This is where the plant concentrates much of what it makes. Leaves and stems play important roles in growth. They capture light, move water, and support structure. Flowers serve a different purpose. They are temporary organs designed to attract attention, interact with the environment, and complete a reproductive cycle. Because of this role, flowers often carry a dense collection of aromatic and signaling compounds. Chamomile is no exception. The chamomile flower is a composite structure. What appears to be a single bloom is actually many small florets arranged together. The yellow center contains tiny disc florets, while the white petals are ray florets that help signal visibility. This layered design increases surface area and creates multiple sites for chemical storage. Oils, flavonoids, and other compounds are distributed across these tissues, rather than isolated in one place. Many of chamomile's most recognizable qualities originate here. The apple-like aroma comes largely from volatile compounds stored in microscopic structures within the flower tissue. These compounds are easily released when the flower is crushed, dried, or exposed to heat. That release is what fills the air above a steeping cup before the liquid itself has much flavor. Flavonoids, which are less volatile and more water-soluble, are also concentrated in the flower. These compounds play protective roles for the plant, helping it respond to sunlight, insects, and environmental stress. When steeped in hot water, some of these molecules dissolve and become part of the tea. They do not dominate the flavor, but they contribute to the overall character of the infusion. Stems are avoided for practical reasons. They contain fewer of these aromatic and signaling compounds and more structural fibers. When included in tea, stems can introduce bitterness without adding much scent or benefit. This is why high-quality chamomile tea consists mostly of intact flower heads rather than chopped plant material. The flower's short lifespan is part of what makes it chemically rich. Flowers do not need to last for years. They need to perform intensely for a brief window of time. During that window, the plant invests energy into producing compounds that communicate with insects, protect delicate tissues, and manage stress. Once flowering ends, the plant shifts resources elsewhere. This pattern creates a concentration effect. Compared to leaves, flowers often carry a higher density of volatile and bioactive compounds per gram of tissue. Chamomile takes advantage of this by storing much of its recognizable chemistry in a small, lightweight structure. Drying the flower preserves this concentration. Water is removed, but the internal compounds remain. The physical shape changes. Petals curl. The flower becomes brittle. But chemically, much of the internal content stays locked in place until rehydration. When hot water is added, the flower briefly returns to activity. Pathways that collapse during drying reopen. Cell walls soften. Compounds migrate outward into the surrounding liquid and air. The process is gentle and incomplete, but it is enough to release scent and subtle flavor. This is why chamomile tea works best with whole or minimally broken flowers. The intact structure allows for a slower, more balanced release. Powdered flowers extract more quickly, but can lose aroma faster and introduce fine particles into the cup. Whole flowers preserve both chemistry and experience. From a biological perspective, the flower is doing what it evolved to do. It is responding to moisture and warmth by making its presence known. Humans simply happen to benefit from the signals it releases. For the mind, this matters because flowers communicate in ways the nervous system recognizes easily. Aroma, softness, and gentle flavor do not require analysis. They are processed quickly and quietly. The flower becomes a messenger that speaks without words. Chamomile's flowers are not powerful because they overwhelm the body. They are effective because they are well designed. Small, temporary, and chemically focused, they offer just enough information to be noticed, remembered, and returned to. In this way, the chamomile flower functions like a container that opens briefly, delivers its contents, and then fades back into stillness. It is a structure shaped by necessity, refined by evolution, and preserved by human habit. A short-lived organ whose influence lasts far longer than its time on the plant. Chamomile is often described as gentle, and that quality extends to how it grows. It is not a demanding plant. It does not rely on rich soil, constant watering, or careful management. Instead, it thrives by fitting easily into the environments where humans tend to live and work. There are two main growth patterns associated with chamomile, reflecting the two traditions discussed earlier. German chamomile grows as an annual. It completes its entire life cycle in a single season, moving quickly from seed to flower to seed again. Roman chamomile grows as a perennial, returning year after year from the same root system. These different habits shape how each plant interacts with its surroundings. German chamomile grows upright, sending up thin, branching stems that carry many small flowers. Because it grows quickly, it takes advantage of open, disturbed soil, where competition is low. This makes it well suited to fields, garden beds, and agricultural rows. Roman chamomile stays close to the ground, spreading outward rather than upward. Its growth pattern allows it to fill space slowly and persist through changing conditions. Both types share similar preferences. Chamomile favors full sun or lightly filtered light. It grows best where it can receive several hours of direct sunlight each day. In shaded conditions, the plant may survive, but flowering becomes less abundant. Light is a key driver of bloom production, and blooms are where chamomile concentrates its value. Soil requirements are modest. Chamomile does not need heavy fertilization and often performs better in lighter, well-drained soil. Rich, overly moist ground can encourage excessive leaf growth at the expense of flowers. In extreme cases, too much moisture can lead to root stress or fungal issues. Chamomile prefers balance rather than abundance. Water needs are similarly restrained. Once established, chamomile tolerates dry periods reasonably well. Overwatering is more likely to cause problems than brief dryness. This resilience allowed chamomile to spread across varied climates, from temperate regions to drier landscapes, without losing its essential character. Because chamomile flowers frequently and for an extended period, it draws steady attention from insects. Bees and other pollinators visit regularly, responding to both color and scent. This constant interaction helps maintain seed production and reinforces chamomile's role as part of a larger ecological network rather than an isolated crop. Despite its easy nature, chamomile is not entirely without challenges. Aphids are one of the most common issues, especially during periods of rapid growth. These small insects feed on plant sap and can cluster on stems and flower buds. In most cases, their presence remains minor and does not threaten the plant's overall health. Mildew can appear when air circulation is poor and moisture lingers on leaves. This is more likely in crowded plantings or humid conditions. Simple spacing and airflow usually prevent serious problems. Chamomile responds well to being left alone, given space, rather than constant intervention. Overcrowding is another factor that influences growth quality. When plants are too close together, they compete for light and airflow. Flowers may become smaller, and scent can weaken slightly. When spaced more generously, chamomile produces fuller blooms with stronger aroma. This relationship between space and quality becomes important later, when harvest timing and flower selection matter. One of chamomile's most enduring traits is its tendency to reseed itself. After flowering, the plant produces small seeds that fall easily to the ground. In suitable conditions, these seeds germinate without assistance the following season. This self-sowing behavior allows chamomile to reappear year after year, sometimes in slightly different locations. For humans, this creates a sense of continuity. Chamomile feels like a plant that returns on its own, without insistence. It appears where it has appeared before, reinforcing familiarity. For the mind, this quiet persistence strengthens the association between the plant and everyday life. Chamomile's ability to grow with minimal guidance helped it become widely adopted. It did not require specialized knowledge or tools. Anyone with access to soil and sunlight could grow it, observe it, and harvest it. That accessibility allowed chamomile to spread through gardens, fields, and cultures without losing its identity. In growing chamomile, there is little urgency. The plant moves at a steady pace, responding predictably to its environment. It grows, flowers, and fades without drama. This calm rhythm mirrors the qualities that later appear in the cup, long after the plant has completed its work. The moment chamomile is harvested has a lasting influence on the tea it becomes. Once a flower is picked, it stops developing. Its chemistry no longer shifts in response to sunlight or weather. What remains is preserved, for better or worse, in whatever state it was in at that moment. For chamomile, the ideal harvest window is narrow but predictable. Flowers are typically gathered when they are fully open, with white petals spread outward and the yellow center raised and vibrant. At this stage, the flower has completed its primary work. Scent is strongest, and the balance of aromatic and water-soluble compounds is most favorable. Harvesting too early produces flowers that are underdeveloped. Their aroma is lighter, and the resulting tea can show less depth. Harvesting too late, after petals begin to droop or dry on the plant, can result in a flatter scent and a slightly dusty character. Timing matters, even for a plant known for forgiveness. Time of day also plays a role. Chamomile flowers are often harvested in the late morning, after dew has evaporated, but before the strongest heat of the day. Early moisture can dilute scent and increase the risk of mold during drying. Excessive midday heat can cause some volatile compounds to dissipate more quickly. Late morning offers a balance between freshness and stability. Because chamomile flowers do not all bloom at once, harvesting is usually a repeated process. New flowers open over days or weeks, requiring multiple passes through the plants. This staggered blooming pattern spreads labor and allows each flower to be collected at its peak rather than all at once. Gentle handling is essential. Chamomile flowers bruise easily. When crushed, they release their aroma quickly, but that release comes at the cost of longevity. Flowers that are handled roughly lose volatile compounds before they ever reach hot water. High-quality chamomile is harvested with care, pinched or snipped cleanly rather than pulled or torn. Stems are typically removed during or shortly after harvest. They add weight without contributing much to aroma or flavor. Including them can introduce bitterness and dilute the flower-to-water ratio in tea. Focusing on intact flower heads preserves both chemistry and consistency. Weather influences harvest decisions as well. Flowers picked during extended wet periods carry more surface moisture, which complicates drying and increases the risk of spoilage. Clear, dry days produce flowers that transition more smoothly into the drying phase. Traditional growers learned to read these conditions long before formal guidelines existed. The cumulative effect of these choices is subtle but noticeable. Chamomile harvested at the right moment, handled gently, and dried promptly produces a tea that feels alive. The scent rises easily. The color develops evenly. The flavor remains soft rather than dull. Harvesting is also the point where human rhythm meets plant rhythm. Growers must respond to what the plant offers, rather than imposing a fixed schedule. This responsiveness is part of why chamomile retained its reputation for reliability. When respected, it responds in kind. For the human mind, harvesting reinforces the connection between patience and quality. Waiting for full bloom, choosing the right hour, and moving carefully through the plants all reward attention. These actions shape the tea long before it reaches the cup. Once harvested, the flower's role changes. It no longer grows or responds. It enters a period of preservation. What remains is potential, held in place until water and heat awaken it again. The care taken at harvest determines how much of that potential remains available. Chamomile's reputation as a gentle, dependable tea is not accidental. It is built through thousands of small decisions made at this stage. Harvesting does not add anything new. It simply protects what the plant has already created. By honoring the moment when the flower is most itself, harvesting allows chamomile to carry its qualities forward, intact and recognizable, into the next phase of its long, quiet journey. Once chamomile flowers are harvested, the next task is to slow time. Drying is not about transforming the plant, but about preserving it in a stable state. The goal is simple: remove water while leaving the flower's internal structure and chemistry as intact as possible. Fresh chamomile flowers contain a high percentage of moisture. This moisture supports life while the flower is on the plant. But once harvested, it becomes a liability. If water remains trapped in the tissue for too long, microbial growth can begin. Drying prevents this by halting biological activity before decay has a chance to take hold. The most important principle in drying chamomile is gentleness. High heat can drive off volatile aromatic compounds, flattening scent and reducing complexity. For this reason, chamomile is typically dried at low temperatures, either through natural air circulation or controlled warmth. Speed matters, but not at the expense of quality. Traditionally, chamomile flowers were spread in thin layers on screens, cloth, or wooden racks, often in shaded, well-ventilated spaces. Direct sunlight was avoided. While sunlight dries quickly, it can degrade delicate compounds and fade color. Shade drying takes longer, but preserves aroma and appearance more effectively. As moisture leaves the flower, its form changes. The white petals curl inward slightly. The flower becomes lighter and more brittle. Color shifts subtly from bright white and yellow to a softer, cream-toned palette. These visual cues signal that drying is progressing correctly. Scent is another indicator. Properly dried chamomile retains a clear, pleasant aroma that becomes noticeable when the flowers are handled. A weak or musty smell suggests drying was too slow or conditions were too humid. Experienced growers rely on smell as much as appearance when judging readiness. Drying time varies depending on temperature, airflow, and flower density. Flowers dried too quickly can become fragile and lose aroma. Flowers dried too slowly risk mold or discoloration. The ideal balance allows moisture to escape evenly without shocking the plant tissue. Modern commercial drying uses controlled environments to achieve this balance at scale. Temperature, humidity, and airflow are carefully regulated. While this increases consistency, the underlying principle remains the same as traditional methods. Protect the flower's volatile compounds while stabilizing it for storage. Once drying is complete, the flowers are sorted. Broken pieces, stems, and debris are removed. Intact flower heads are favored for tea because they preserve aroma and allow for a slower, more even extraction during brewing. This sorting step further shapes the quality of the final product. Proper storage begins immediately after drying. Chamomile flowers are sensitive to light, moisture, and air. Exposure to these elements over time can degrade scent and reduce effectiveness. For this reason, dried flowers are stored in airtight containers away from direct light and heat. When stored well, dried chamomile retains much of its character for about a year. After that, aroma slowly fades. The flowers are still safe to use, but the tea becomes quieter and less expressive. This gradual loss reinforces the idea that chamomile is a living material, even in preserved form. Drying is the stage where chamomile becomes recognizable as tea. The flowers no longer resemble their fresh counterparts, yet they carry the memory of that freshness within them. When hot water is added later, the drying process is partially reversed, allowing the flower to briefly open again. For the human mind, drying represents patience and restraint. Nothing is rushed, nothing is forced. The flower is allowed to release what it needs to release and keep what it can keep. This approach mirrors the way chamomile is later used, not to compel change but to support it gently. By the time drying is complete, chamomile has crossed a threshold. It has moved from living plant to preserved potential. What remains is a quiet readiness, waiting for warmth and water to return it, briefly, to motion. When chamomile flowers meet hot water, the process that follows is quiet, but precise. Brewing is not simply soaking. It is an extraction shaped by temperature, time, and the natural limits of water itself. Water is a selective solvent. It does not dissolve everything a plant contains. Instead, it favors compounds that are polar or lightly bound within plant tissue. In chamomile, this means that brewing draws out certain flavonoids, sugars, and trace aromatic molecules while leaving heavier oils and resinous compounds behind. This selectivity is part of why chamomile tea feels gentle. The water does not pull strongly in any one direction. It takes what is easily available and leaves the rest untouched. The result is a diluted representation of the flower's chemistry, rather than a concentrated dose. Heat plays a central role. As water warms, molecular movement increases. Cell walls in the dried flower soften. Pathways that collapse during drying reopen. Compounds begin to migrate outward into the surrounding liquid. At the same time, volatile molecules rise with steam, contributing to aroma even before the tea is tasted. Chamomile's essential oils are only lightly soluble in water. This means most of the oil remains within the flower or escapes into the air, rather than entering the liquid in large amounts. What reaches the cup is enough to shape scent and experience without dominating the brew. Because aroma is so important, covering the cup during steeping can change the experience noticeably. A lid or saucer traps rising vapors, allowing them to settle back toward the liquid or remain present when the cup is lifted. This preserves the aromatic aspect of chamomile that might otherwise dissipate quickly. Steeping time influences both strength and balance. Shorter steeping times produce a lighter infusion with delicate scent. Longer steeping times allow more water-soluble compounds to enter the cup, deepening flavor and body. Unlike many leaf teas, chamomile remains forgiving. Extended steeping rarely introduces sharp bitterness, which allows for flexibility in preparation. The form of the flowers also matters. Whole flower heads extract slowly and evenly, releasing compounds at a measured pace. Broken or powdered flowers increase surface area, accelerating extraction, but also allowing aroma to escape more rapidly. Each form changes the character of the brew slightly. Water quality is another quiet variable. Mineral content can affect how compounds dissolve and how flavors are perceived. Soft water tends to produce a clearer, more aromatic cup. Hard water can mute scent slightly. These differences are subtle, but they contribute to the sense that chamomile tea changes depending on place. Brewing is also influenced by attention. Preparing chamomile tea often involves waiting without distraction. The time spent steeping becomes a pause. Breathing slows, movements become smaller. This shift in behavior accompanies the physical extraction, reinforcing the overall effect. Importantly, brewing does not unlock everything chamomile contains. Compounds that require alcohol, oil, or high heat remain largely inaccessible. This boundary defines chamomile tea as a low-intensity preparation. It delivers enough to be noticed, but not enough to overwhelm. For the human mind, this limitation is a strength. The tea becomes predictable. Its effects are consistent. There are no sudden changes or surprises. Each cup feels familiar, even when brewed slightly differently. When the tea is finally ready, the flowers sink or float quietly. The liquid takes on a pale golden hue. Steam rises, carrying scent upward. The extraction is complete, but its influence continues as long as the cup remains warm. Brewing chamomile is an act of cooperation rather than control. Water, heat, and plant material interact within clear boundaries. Nothing is forced beyond what the system allows. the process reflects the same qualities that later appear in the experience of drinking it. In this way, brewing does more than prepare a beverage. It translates the flower's chemistry into a form the body can receive easily, shaping a drink that is defined not by intensity, but by balance and restraint. The calming reputation of chamomile does not come from a single powerful compound. It comes from a collection of mild substances working together, each contributing quietly rather than taking control. Chamomile's chemistry is layered, balanced, and deliberately modest. At a broad level, the compounds found in chamomile fall into three main groups. There are flavonoids, which are water-soluble plant compounds. There are essential oils, which are aromatic and mostly not water-soluble. And there is a wide range of minor constituents that appear in small amounts and support the overall character of the plant. Flavonoids are the most relevant group when talking about chamomile tea specifically. These compounds dissolve slowly into hot water during brewing. They are present in low concentrations, but they are stable and consistent. Among them, one has received particular attention: apigenin. Apigenin is a naturally occurring flavonoid found in many plants, but chamomile contains it in a form that humans have noticed for generations. In the dried flower, apigenin often exists bound to sugar molecules, forming what are called glycosides. These bound forms are more water-friendly, and are the versions most likely to appear in tea. Once consumed, these flavonoid compounds may be altered gently by digestion, but they do not act suddenly or forcefully. Their presence is subtle. They do not overwhelm the nervous system. Instead, they contribute to an overall environment that favors calm. Essential oils form the second major group of chamomile compounds, but they behave very differently. These oils are stored in tiny structures within the flower and are responsible for much of chamomile's scent. Compounds such as bisabolol and its related forms contribute to chamomile's smooth, rounded aroma and its reputation for soothing tissues. However, essential oils are only lightly soluble in water. This means chamomile tea contains far less of these compounds than chamomile essential oil or alcohol-based tinctures. Most of the oil either remains in the flower or escapes into the air as steam during brewing. What remains in the cup is enough to be sensed, but not enough to dominate. Bisabolol and related compounds are often associated with chamomile's calming and comforting effects, especially when used externally or in more concentrated preparations. In tea form, their role is supportive rather than primary. They add depth to aroma and contribute to the overall experience without becoming pharmacologically strong. The third category includes minor compounds that appear in trace amounts. These include small quantities of coumarins, organic acids, and other plant molecules that are not individually significant, but together shape how the tea feels. Chamomile does not rely on any one of these. Its chemistry works through accumulation rather than emphasis. This is where preparation matters. A chamomile tincture, made with alcohol, extracts a wider range of compounds, including more of the essential oils. An essential oil, produced through distillation, concentrates a very narrow set of volatile compounds and excludes most flavonoids entirely. Each preparation presents a different version of the same plant. Chamomile tea sits at the gentlest end of this spectrum. It captures water-soluble flavonoids and a hint of aromatic oils, leaving heavier compounds behind. This limited extraction defines the tea's character. It is intentionally incomplete. For the human mind, this incompleteness is important. The tea does not introduce strong signals that demand a response. Instead, it offers a low-level chemical background that blends with warmth, aroma, and routine. The body is not pushed toward calm. It is allowed to settle into it. This is also why chamomile tea is best understood as cumulative rather than immediate. Its chemistry does not flip a switch. It supports processes that are already moving toward rest. The effect is gradual, layered, and closely tied to context. Chamomile's chemistry mirrors its appearance. Light, balanced, non-dominant. Each compound plays a role, but none tries to lead alone. The calm associated with chamomile is not manufactured by force. It emerges naturally from restraint. By understanding this chemical foundation, chamomile tea becomes easier to place. It is not a sedative disguised as a beverage. It is a mild botanical infusion that offers gentle signals the body can choose to respond to. That choice, repeated over time, is what gives chamomile its enduring place in quiet routines. Chamomile's relationship with the nervous system is often described in simple terms, but the reality is quieter and more gradual. Rather than acting as a sedative that forces the body into sleep, chamomile interacts with the nervous system in ways that gently reduce friction. Its influence is better described as softening rather than directing. The nervous system is constantly balancing signals. Some increase alertness and readiness. Others encourage rest and recovery. Chamomile does not introduce a strong new signal into this system. Instead, it subtly shifts the background conditions, making it easier for calming signals to be noticed. One way this happens is through mild interaction with pathways involved in relaxation. Certain flavonoids found in chamomile are known to interact weakly with receptors that play a role in calming neural activity. The key word here is weakly. These interactions are not intense enough to override normal function. They do not shut down alertness or impair awareness. They simply lower the volume slightly. This mildness is important. Strong nervous system effects tend to come with trade-offs. They can create dependence, grogginess, or disruption of natural rhythms. Chamomile avoids these outcomes precisely because it does not aim for dominance. Its effects remain within the range of what the body already recognizes as safe and familiar. For many people, the calming experience of chamomile is not localized to the brain alone. The nervous system extends throughout the body, linking physical sensations with mental states. When chamomile tea eases mild tension in the muscles or digestive tract, the nervous system receives fewer signals of discomfort. This reduction in background noise can make rest feel more accessible. The experience is often described as a sense of easing rather than drowsiness. Thoughts may feel less urgent. Physical restlessness may decrease slightly. Breathing can slow. None of these changes are dramatic on their own, but together, they create a noticeable shift. This is why chamomile works best when paired with timing and routine. Drinking chamomile tea late in the day, when the body is already moving toward rest, allows its gentle influence to align with natural circadian rhythms. The same tea consumed in the middle of an active morning would feel far less noticeable. Repetition strengthens this effect. When chamomile is used regularly as part of an evening routine, the nervous system begins to associate its sensory cues with slowing down. The smell of the tea, the warmth of the cup, and the familiar taste become signals that prepare the body for rest before any chemical effects are considered. From the perspective of the mind, this association is powerful. The brain is constantly predicting what will happen next. When a familiar pattern consistently leads to rest, the prediction itself begins to support the outcome. Chamomile becomes part of a learned sequence rather than a single intervention. It is also important to note what chamomile does not do. It does not block stress hormones outright. It does not induce unconsciousness. It does not replace the body's own sleep mechanisms. Instead, it supports them indirectly by reducing obstacles. This supportive role is why chamomile is often described as safe and non-disruptive. It allows alertness to fade naturally, rather than suppressing it artificially. The nervous system remains responsive, but less tense. For people sensitive to strong interventions, this restraint matters. Chamomile does not demand that the body respond. It offers conditions in which rest can emerge on its own terms. In this way, chamomile fits comfortably into long-term use. It does not lose effectiveness because it never relied on intensity to begin with. Its influence remains consistent because it stays within the boundaries of natural regulation. The calm associated with chamomile is not a command issued to the nervous system. It is an invitation, one that can be accepted easily when the timing is right, and ignored without consequence when it is not. The calm of chamomile is often felt in the body before it is noticed in the mind. For many people, the first sense of ease comes not from drowsiness, but from the quieting of the digestive system. This connection is not accidental. The gut and the nervous system are closely linked, and changes in one often echo in the other. The digestive tract contains a large network of nerves that constantly communicate with the brain. When digestion is uncomfortable, slow, or tense, those signals can increase alertness and restlessness. Even mild bloating, cramping, or irritation can make relaxation more difficult. Chamomile has long been used in situations like these, not to force sleep, but to reduce the internal noise that keeps the body attentive. One of chamomile's traditional roles is as an antispasmodic. This means it has been observed to help ease involuntary muscle contractions, particularly in smooth muscle tissue. The digestive tract is lined with smooth muscle that moves rhythmically to propel food and manage digestion. When this movement becomes irregular or tense, discomfort can follow. Compounds found in chamomile are thought to support the relaxation of this smooth muscle in a gentle way. The effect is not numbing or suppressive. It does not stop digestion. Instead, it encourages a more regular, less strained rhythm. When the gut feels settled, the nervous system receives fewer signals demanding attention. Warmth enhances this effect. Warm liquids naturally relax smooth muscle and increase local circulation. Chamomile's mild flavor allows the warmth to remain central to the experience without competing sensory stimulation. The body registers comfort before the mind begins to analyze it. This is why chamomile tea is often described as easy on the stomach. It does not irritate. It does not overwhelm. It simply supports conditions in which digestion can proceed without strain. For people who experience restlessness due to mild digestive discomfort, this can make a meaningful difference. Traditional uses of chamomile reflect this relationship. Chamomile tea has been given for gas, indigestion, and nausea for centuries. It has also been used for infants and children experiencing colic, where digestive discomfort leads to agitation. In these contexts, the goal was not sedation, but relief. As digestive comfort increases, the nervous system often follows. The gut sends fewer urgent signals upward. The body no longer needs to remain alert to manage discomfort. This shift can allow mental activity to slow as well. This gut-mind link helps explain why chamomile often feels calming without making a person sleepy. The tea does not act directly on thought. It changes the physical conditions that support thought. When the body feels at ease, the mind has less reason to stay engaged. Hydration also plays a role. Even mild dehydration can contribute to digestive sluggishness and tension. Drinking chamomile tea addresses this in a gentle way. The fluid itself supports normal digestive movement, while the plant compounds provide an added layer of comfort. It is important to emphasize the scale of these effects. Chamomile does not resolve serious digestive conditions. It does not override the body's regulatory systems. Its role is supportive. It assists rather than intervenes. For the human mind, this distinction matters. Chamomile does not promise relief. It offers an environment where relief can occur naturally. The body remains in control of the outcome. Because digestion follows daily rhythms, chamomile's digestive support fits well into evening routines. As the day's food intake slows, the body shifts toward rest and repair. Supporting digestive comfort during this transition can reduce one of the barriers to relaxation. Over time, this repeated experience reinforces chamomile's calming association. The body learns that chamomile tea often precedes a quieter digestive state. That expectation alone can reduce tension. In this way, chamomile's influence travels a gentle path, from the gut to the nervous system, from physical comfort to mental ease. It does not rush this journey. It allows it to unfold at the body's natural pace, which is exactly why it has remained part of evening rituals for so long. Chamomile's influence on smooth muscle is not limited to the digestive tract. Smooth muscle is found throughout the body, quietly controlling functions that rarely draw attention unless something feels wrong. Blood vessels, airways, and parts of the reproductive system all rely on smooth muscle to regulate flow and movement without conscious effort. Because chamomile's effects are gentle and systemic, rather than targeted and forceful, its traditional uses gradually extended beyond digestion. Wherever tension involved involuntary muscle contraction, chamomile was considered supportive. One area where this became especially noticeable was in relation to menstrual discomfort. For centuries, chamomile tea was used during times when uterine smooth muscle activity caused cramping or unease. The goal was not to suppress function, but to soften intensity. Chamomile did not stop the natural process. It aimed to make it more tolerable. This historical use is reflected in chamomile's botanical naming. The genus name Matricaria comes from a root associated with the word matrix, a term historically linked to the womb. This does not mean chamomile was understood scientifically in the modern sense. It means people observed a pattern and named the plant accordingly. These observations were experiential rather than analytical. Chamomile was used because it felt helpful, not because it produced immediate or dramatic effects. It was chosen for its mildness, especially in situations where stronger interventions were not desirable. The same principle applies to other smooth muscle systems. When smooth muscle is tense, signals of discomfort increase. The body stays alert. When that tension eases slightly, the nervous system can shift toward a calmer state. Chamomile's role is to support that easing without overriding regulation. It is important to be clear about scale. Chamomile does not act as a muscle relaxant in the pharmaceutical sense. It does not block contraction or interfere with essential function. Its influence, where present, is modest and supportive. This restraint is part of what made chamomile suitable for repeated use across different life stages. Warmth again plays a role here. Warm liquids increase blood flow and can help reduce perceived tightness in smooth muscle tissue. Chamomile's chemistry works alongside this physical effect, rather than replacing it. The tea supports comfort through multiple small pathways, rather than one dominant mechanism. This combination of warmth, mild chemistry, and routine helps explain why chamomile has been used in situations involving generalized bodily tension. The tea does not demand a response. It creates conditions in which the body can regulate itself with less resistance. From the perspective of the mind, this matters because bodily tension and mental tension are rarely separate. The nervous system monitors smooth muscle activity constantly. When involuntary systems feel strained, the mind remains alert. When those systems quiet slightly, the mind often follows. This is why chamomile's effects can feel widespread without being intense. A subtle easing in one area can ripple outward, reducing overall background tension. The result is not sedation, but relief from constant low-level engagement. Modern understanding adds an important boundary to this tradition. Because chamomile has been associated with uterine activity, caution is often advised during pregnancy, especially in large or concentrated amounts. This does not mean chamomile is dangerous in typical tea use. It means that respect for scale and context remains important. Chamomile's long history is built on moderation. Its uses persisted because it did not cause harm when used appropriately. When taken in excessive or highly concentrated forms, its character changes. The gentle becomes assertive. That shift is not the space chamomile traditionally occupies. In everyday tea form, chamomile remains within its original role. It supports ease without interference. It offers comfort without control. By acknowledging both its historical uses and modern boundaries, chamomile can be understood clearly. It is not a solution imposed on the body. It is a companion that helps smooth transitions, reduce unnecessary strain, and allow natural processes to unfold with a little more softness. That balance is what allowed chamomile to remain relevant across generations. It adapted not by becoming stronger, but by staying gentle enough to be trusted. Chamomile has long been associated with soothing, not only in the sense of calm, but in the sense of easing irritation wherever it appears. This role is subtle and often overlooked, yet it helps explain why chamomile feels comforting in both internal and external use. Inflammation is the body's way of responding to stress, injury, or imbalance. It increases blood flow, activates immune signaling, and draws attention to areas that need repair. While this response is essential, low-level or persistent irritation can create discomfort that keeps the body alert. Chamomile's traditional use fits into this space, where the goal is not to suppress the body's response, but to soften its intensity. Certain compounds found in chamomile have been observed to support the body's natural inflammatory regulation. These effects are mild and non-specific. Chamomile does not target a single pathway or block a particular signal. Instead, it appears to reduce friction within the system, allowing normal resolution processes to proceed more smoothly. This is one reason chamomile has been used externally as well as internally. Compresses made from chamomile tea have been applied to irritated skin, tired eyes, and minor swelling. Rinses and gargles have been used for sore throats or mouth discomfort. Baths infused with chamomile have been taken to soothe sensitive skin. In each case, the intention is the same: comfort rather than correction. The chemistry behind this role is shared across multiple compounds. Flavonoids contribute antioxidant and regulatory support. Aromatic components add a calming sensory layer that influences perception. Warmth from liquid preparations increases circulation and relaxation. No single element acts alone. Chamomile's gentle antimicrobial properties also play a supporting role. Certain compounds in chamomile have shown mild activity against bacteria and fungi in laboratory settings. In practical use, this does not make chamomile a disinfectant. It simply means that it can support cleanliness and comfort without disrupting healthy tissue. This balance made chamomile suitable for sensitive applications. It was used where harsher substances would be inappropriate. Its mildness allowed it to be applied repeatedly without causing additional irritation. Internally, the same principles apply. Low-level irritation in the digestive tract or mucous membranes can contribute to discomfort and restlessness. Chamomile tea may help ease these sensations, not by eliminating their cause, but by reducing their impact. When irritation quiets, the nervous system receives fewer signals that demand attention. From the perspective of the mind, this reduction in background irritation matters. The body constantly monitors internal conditions. When tissues feel inflamed or uncomfortable, alertness increases. When that discomfort fades slightly, the mind can relax its vigilance. This is why chamomile's calming effect often feels physical rather than mental. It does not directly alter thought. It reduces the bodily signals that keep thought active. It is also why chamomile is often described as safe for repeated use. It does not accumulate aggressively. It does not override protective responses. It works within the body's existing regulatory systems. Modern comparisons sometimes frame chamomile in relation to pharmaceutical anti-inflammatory agents. This comparison is limited. Chamomile does not function like a targeted medication. It is not meant to replace medical treatment. Its role is supportive, not corrective. Understanding this distinction keeps expectations realistic. Chamomile does not remove inflammation. It helps the body tolerate it more comfortably, while resolution occurs naturally. This gentle approach is consistent with chamomile's broader character. It does not rush the body. It does not force change. It accompanies the body through discomfort, rather than attempting to eliminate it. In doing so, chamomile occupies a unique place. It sits between sensation and regulation, offering relief without disruption. That balance is what allowed it to remain a trusted presence in everyday care, long after stronger interventions became available. The soothing reputation of chamomile is built not on intensity, but on patience. It offers a quieter path, one that aligns with the body's own timing and leaves space for natural recovery to unfold. By the time chamomile reaches the cup, much of its influence has already begun. Long before any compound is absorbed, the senses are engaged. This sensory layer is not decoration. It is central to why chamomile feels familiar, comforting, and easy to return to. Aroma is often the first signal. As hot water meets dried chamomile flowers, volatile compounds lift into the air almost immediately. The scent is light, slightly sweet, and rounded. It does not demand attention, but it is difficult to ignore. The nose registers it quickly, often before the cup is lifted. This early arrival matters because smell has a direct and fast pathway into the nervous system. The aroma of chamomile tends to feel safe. It is not sharp or unfamiliar. Many people recognize it from childhood or from moments of care. That recognition lowers alertness. The body does not need to evaluate or defend against the sensation. It accepts it without effort. Warmth follows closely behind. Holding a warm cup brings heat into the hands, which are sensitive to temperature and rich in nerve endings. This warmth spreads slowly, creating a physical cue that contrasts with cooler surroundings. The body interprets this as comfort and containment. Muscles in the hands and shoulders often relax slightly without conscious intention. Taste arrives last and remains understated. Chamomile does not fill the mouth with strong flavor. It stays light, floral, and faintly sweet. Because the taste is mild, it does not compete with other sensations. The mind does not need to focus on it. This allows attention to drift rather than concentrate. Color contributes quietly as well. Chamomile tea is pale gold, translucent, and soft. It does not appear dense or heavy. The visual impression matches the physical one. Nothing about the tea suggests urgency or intensity. Sound is part of the experience too, though it is rarely noticed directly. Water heating, liquid pouring, the faint movement of flowers shifting in the cup. These sounds are low and rhythmic. They signal preparation rather than activity. Over time, they become associated with slowing down. Movement during preparation is typically small and unhurried. Stirring gently, waiting, lifting the cup carefully. These motions differ from the fast, repetitive actions of the day. The body transitions into a different mode without being instructed to do so. Repetition strengthens all of these cues. When chamomile is prepared regularly, the sensory sequence becomes predictable. Smell follows heat, taste follows aroma, quiet follows movement. The nervous system learns this order and begins to anticipate it. This anticipation is powerful. The body often begins to respond before the tea is consumed. breathing slows slightly. Muscular tension decreases. The mind becomes less reactive. None of this requires belief or expectation. It is learned through experience. This is why chamomile can feel calming even on days when its chemical effects might be minimal. The sensory pattern itself carries meaning. The body recognizes it as a familiar transition point. For the human mind, familiarity reduces effort. Known sensations require less processing. They do not trigger evaluation or vigilance. Chamomile's sensory profile has remained stable across time and place, which allows it to function as a reliable signal. Unlike stimulating beverages, chamomile does not sharpen the senses. It softens them. The edges of experience become less pronounced. The world feels quieter, not because anything has changed, but because attention has relaxed. This sensory gentleness is cumulative. Each cup reinforces the association. Each quiet moment adds weight to the pattern. Over years, chamomile becomes more than a drink. It becomes a sensory memory. When people say chamomile feels comforting, they are often describing this layered experience. Not one sensation, but many, arriving in a familiar order. Smell, warmth, taste, sound, and motion all working together to tell the body that it is safe to slow down. In this way, chamomile's calm is not delivered. It is recognized. The senses do the work quietly, guiding the body toward rest through repetition, softness, and familiarity rather than force. Chamomile's place in daily life is shaped less by instruction and more by repetition. It becomes meaningful not because it is prescribed, but because it returns. Night after night, it appears at the same hour, in the same cup, through the same small sequence of actions. Over time, this repetition turns a simple beverage into a signal. Evening is when this signal carries the most weight. As daylight fades, the body naturally begins to shift. Activity slows, attention narrows. The nervous system becomes more receptive to cues that suggest rest. Chamomile fits neatly into this transition because it asks very little. It does not demand preparation that feels like work. It does not introduce stimulation that needs to be managed. It arrives quietly, aligning with the direction the body is already moving. Preparing chamomile tea in the evening often follows a familiar rhythm. Water is heated, flowers are steeped. The cup is carried to a place of rest. These steps do not change much from day to day, and that consistency is what gives them power. The body learns that these actions precede stillness. The mind begins to ease before the tea is finished. Across generations, this pattern has remained remarkably stable. In many homes, chamomile was prepared for children who struggled to settle, and for elders whose sleep became lighter with age. It was offered without explanation, framed simply as something comforting. Over time, this created a shared understanding that chamomile belonged to moments of care. The way chamomile is prepared also varies gently, reflecting personal and cultural preference. Some people drink it plain, allowing the flower's natural aroma to remain central. Others add a small amount of honey, introducing sweetness and weight. Honey slows the pace of drinking and adds a familiar, grounding flavor. In some traditions, chamomile is combined with milk, creating a softer, fuller texture that emphasizes warmth and nourishment. These variations do not change chamomile's role. they personalize it. The ritual adapts to the person while maintaining its core function as a transition cue. The details may differ, but the message remains the same. It is time to slow down. Ritual works because the body responds to predictability. The nervous system is constantly scanning for patterns that help it anticipate what comes next. When a sequence reliably leads to rest, the sequence itself begins to carry the effect. Chamomile becomes part of a learned pathway rather than a standalone solution. This is why chamomile tea often feels more effective when used consistently. The first cup introduces the pattern. The second reinforces it. Over weeks and months, the ritual becomes ingrained. The body begins to respond earlier in the sequence, sometimes as soon as the scent appears or the kettle begins to warm. For the human mind, this predictability reduces effort. The body does not need to decide whether it is time to rest. The decision has already been made through habit. Chamomile becomes a quiet agreement between intention and action. Ritual also provides containment. Evening can feel open and undefined, especially after busy days. Preparing chamomile creates a boundary. It marks an end to activity and a beginning of rest. This boundary is not enforced, but it is felt. Because chamomile ritual is gentle, it can coexist with many routines. It can accompany reading, conversation, or silence. It does not compete for attention. It supports whatever form rest takes that night. Over time, this role deepens. Chamomile stops being noticed as a tool and becomes part of the environment. It is simply what happens in the evening. That ordinariness is its strength. The ritual does not need to be remembered consciously. It unfolds on its own. Chamomile's calming influence is less about what it does and more about when it appears. By returning at the same moment, in the same form, it teaches the body to recognize rest, not as an event, but as a familiar rhythm that arrives right on time. Chamomile carries more than chemistry and ritual. It carries memory. Long before it was measured, labeled, or packaged, it lived close to people, growing where they could see it, and reaching into moments that mattered. In many places, chamomile belonged to the cottage garden. It grew near doors, paths, and kitchen windows, close enough to gather without planning. This placement was not accidental. Plants used often were kept nearby. Chamomile earned that position through familiarity rather than prestige. It was a plant you reached for, not one you admired from a distance. Because it grew easily, chamomile became part of household care. It was dried and stored alongside other simple remedies, ready for use when someone felt unsettled or uncomfortable. Its role was not dramatic. It did not replace doctors or rituals. It filled the quiet space between ordinary discomfort and formal treatment. Children encountered chamomile early. It was offered when sleep felt difficult or when the body felt restless. The act of giving chamomile to a child communicated care as much as it delivered comfort. The child learned not only the taste, but the context. Chamomile meant someone was paying attention. Elders returned to chamomile for similar reasons. As sleep patterns shifted and digestion became more sensitive, chamomile remained compatible. It did not challenge the body. It adapted to it. This consistency across life stages reinforced its emotional presence. Chamomile became something that stayed when other things changed. Stories about chamomile often focus on gentleness. It appears in folk traditions as a helper rather than a hero. It does not conquer illness or drive away darkness. It offers relief by staying close. This framing reflects how people experienced it in real life. Literature mirrors this tone. Chamomile appears in children's stories as a comforting detail, not a plot device. It signals care, rest, and recovery without needing explanation. A cup of chamomile in a story tells the reader that things are being tended to, even if nothing else is said. These small appearances matter because they reinforce meaning without instruction. Chamomile becomes shorthand for safety and quiet. Readers recognize it immediately, even if they have never thought about why. Folk traditions also treated chamomile as a plant that thrived under gentle handling. It was said to grow better when walked on lightly, or when kept close to daily life. Whether or not these observations were scientifically accurate, they shaped how people related to the plant. Chamomile was not something to control. It was something to live alongside. This attitude influenced how chamomile was passed down. Knowledge about it was shared informally. Recipes were simple. Instructions were brief. The plant did not require expertise to use, which allowed it to move easily between generations without becoming specialized. For the human mind, this kind of cultural continuity creates trust. When something is encountered repeatedly across time, in different contexts, without causing harm, it becomes embedded. Chamomile did not need advocates. It endured quietly through repetition. Even as modern life shifted toward packaged goods and standardized medicine, chamomile retained its place. It moved from gardens to shelves without losing its identity. The cup still smelled the same. The ritual still felt familiar. The stories still resonated. Chamomile's emotional longevity comes from this steadiness. It was never associated with urgency or fear. It appeared in moments of care, not crisis. That association gave it a different weight than plants tied to stronger interventions. Today, when someone reaches for chamomile, they are often reaching for more than a beverage. They are touching a thread that runs through many small human moments. Even if the story is not consciously remembered, the feeling remains. Chamomile does not ask to be celebrated. It asks only to be present. That quiet presence is what allowed it to settle into memory and remain there, long after louder remedies came and went. Chamomile's journey from small garden plots to global production happened gradually. It was not driven by sudden demand or industrial urgency, but by steady use repeated across regions. As more people relied on chamomile for everyday comfort, the plant followed human movement outward, adapting to new landscapes without losing its essential character. For much of its history, chamomile was grown close to home. Families cultivated small patches, harvesting flowers by hand and drying them for later use. This scale matched its role. Chamomile was not a luxury or a commodity. It was part of household rhythm. As populations grew and trade networks expanded, familiar plants traveled with them. Chamomile seeds were easy to carry and quick to establish. The plant adapted well to temperate climates, tolerating varied soils and modest rainfall. These traits made it suitable for cultivation across large parts of Europe, the Mediterranean, and later beyond. By the 19th century, chamomile had begun to move into more organized agriculture. Fields replaced garden beds. Harvesting became coordinated rather than incidental. Certain regions developed reputations for high-quality chamomile, shaped by soil, climate, and harvesting practices refined over time. Today, chamomile is grown commercially in several parts of the world. Large-scale production exists in regions where sunlight, dry air, and well-drained soil support consistent flowering. These conditions help preserve aroma during harvest and drying, which remains central to quality even at scale. Modern chamomile production focuses on efficiency without entirely abandoning tradition. Fields are planted densely enough to maximize yield, yet spaced to allow airflow and sunlight. Harvesting may be done mechanically or by hand, depending on the intended use and quality standards. Flowers are collected repeatedly over the flowering season, much as they were in small gardens, but with greater coordination. Once harvested, chamomile enters processing pipelines designed to preserve its defining qualities. Drying remains the most critical step. Industrial drying facilities carefully control temperature and humidity to prevent loss of volatile compounds. Speed matters, but restraint still guides the process. From there, chamomile is sorted according to use. Intact flower heads are reserved for loose-leaf tea. Smaller pieces may be used for tea bags or blended preparations. Some batches are set aside for extraction, destined for tinctures or essential oil production. Each pathway emphasizes different aspects of the plant's chemistry. This diversification creates challenges. As production scales up, maintaining consistency becomes more difficult. Variations in weather, soil, and harvest timing can subtly alter aroma and strength. Producers must balance efficiency with attentiveness, ensuring that the plant's character is not flattened by volume. Freshness also becomes harder to protect. Chamomile's delicate compounds degrade over time, especially when exposed to light, air, or moisture. Large-scale storage and transport increase the distance between harvest and use. Packaging and handling become as important as growing conditions. Despite these challenges, chamomile has remained recognizable. A cup brewed from flowers grown thousands of miles away still carries the familiar scent and softness people expect. This continuity is not accidental. It reflects careful selection, preservation methods, and a long history of knowing what matters most. Chamomile's success as a global crop rests on its adaptability. It tolerates cultivation without demanding transformation. It allows modern systems to work around it, rather than forcing it into rigid frameworks. The plant remains light, aromatic, and forgiving even when grown at scale. In moving from garden to field to shelf, chamomile did not lose its identity. It simply found new ways to reach the same quiet moment. The global pathways that carry chamomile today are extensions of the same relationship that once began just outside a kitchen door. Before chamomile becomes a tea, a crop, or a ritual, it exists as a living participant in its environment. It grows among other plants, interacts with insects and soil, and responds to the rhythms of weather and season. Understanding chamomile in this context helps place it back into the system it came from, rather than viewing it only through human use. Chamomile is a flowering plant, and its life cycle is closely tied to pollinators. When it blooms, it produces a steady supply of small, accessible flowers that attract bees, butterflies, and other insects. These visitors are drawn by both color and scent. The white petals make the flowers visible in mixed vegetation, while the aromatic compounds signal the presence of nectar and pollen. Because chamomile flowers over an extended period, it provides a reliable food source rather than a brief burst. This sustained blooming supports pollinators across changing conditions, especially in environments where floral diversity fluctuates. Fields or gardens with chamomile often feel active in a quiet way, marked by a constant but gentle presence of insect life. Chamomile's relationship with insects goes beyond pollination. Some of its aromatic compounds appear to discourage certain pests while remaining attractive to beneficial species. This balance allows chamomile to coexist with neighboring plants without dominating them. It occupies space without aggressively competing. In traditional gardening practices, chamomile has often been used as a companion plant. It was placed near vegetables and herbs, not because it replaced care, but because it seemed to support healthier growth nearby. These observations were made through experience rather than experimentation, but they shaped planting habits that persisted across generations. Soil plays a role as well. Chamomile's roots interact with microorganisms beneath the surface, contributing organic matter as the plant grows and decomposes. Over time, this can influence soil texture and microbial diversity. While chamomile does not transform soil dramatically, its presence adds to the overall stability of the system. The plant's modest nutrient requirements mean it does not exhaust the soil. It takes what it needs and leaves room for others. This makes chamomile compatible with mixed plantings and rotational growing systems. It fits rather than displaces. Self-seeding further reinforces chamomile's ecological role. Seeds fall close to the parent plant and germinate where conditions are suitable. This natural reseeding allows chamomile populations to shift gradually rather than appearing suddenly. The plant responds to microclimates, settling into spaces where it can persist without intervention. Weather influences chamomile in visible ways. Sunlight encourages flowering. Extended moisture affects scent and density. Wind moves stems gently, aiding pollen movement and seed dispersal. Chamomile does not resist these forces. It adjusts to them. For the human mind, observing chamomile in this context reveals why the plant feels so aligned with balance. It does not push against its environment. It participates in it. That quality carries forward into how people experience it later. When chamomile is removed from this system and dried for tea, it carries traces of these interactions with it. The scent that rises from the cup once drifted through open air. The compounds that soften flavor once guided insects toward pollen. The plant's chemistry was shaped by relationships long before it reached hot water. Seeing chamomile as an ecological participant also reframes its gentleness. The plant evolved to communicate without force. It signals rather than demands. It offers rather than overwhelms. These traits are adaptive in an ecosystem and comforting in human use. In returning chamomile to its environmental role, the tea becomes easier to understand. It is not a substance engineered for effect. It is a reflection of a plant that learned to survive through cooperation, moderation, and consistency. That quiet ecological presence is the foundation of everything chamomile later becomes. Before it is brewed, stored, or shared, it exists simply as part of the living landscape, doing its work slowly and without attention. As this long look at chamomile comes to rest, what remains is not a conclusion so much as a feeling. Chamomile does not arrive with a promise. It does not insist on an outcome. It offers presence and then steps back. Across its many forms, flower, tea, scent, and ritual, chamomile stays consistent by staying modest. It works within boundaries. It respects timing. It supports the body without trying to direct it. That restraint is what allowed it to travel so far, persist so long, and remain recognizable through centuries of change. When chamomile is brewed, it does not ask for attention. It creates a small, calm space where attention can soften on its own. A pause forms. The day loosens its grip. Nothing dramatic happens, and that is exactly the point. What began in soil and sunlight becomes a cup held quietly in the hands. Between those moments is a long chain of growth, harvest, preservation, chemistry, and habit. Each step gentle enough to preserve what came before it. The calm associated with chamomile is not added at the end. It is carried through. If you choose to drink chamomile tonight, it does not need to do anything special. Let it be what it has always been. Warm water, a flower, a familiar scent, a small marker that says it is okay to slow down. And if sleep comes, let it come on its own terms. Thank you for spending this time here, moving slowly through the science behind something so simple. Wherever you are listening from, may the rest of your night be easy, unhurried, and quiet. Good night.